Chapter 10. How to Communicate with Your Inner Christ. Well, if I'm not following the ego's demands anymore, and I'm willing to surrender to the Christ within, how will I know what my Christ self wants?
Begin now by sitting still. Hold your focus upon your breath. Notice all the parts of your physical being that would steal your focus away. Pay them no mind, and return to your breath. If you do this often enough, you will find a greater peace comes over your being, which will facilitate your receptivity to communication with the divine being that is the greater aspect of yourself.
Our inner guidance is tailored specifically for us. We often look outside ourselves for guidance, which serves no purpose if we truly understand what we have access to within ourselves. It's like having a personal radar system that can see from an expanded perspective and bring you information you wouldn't have otherwise. It also ultimately brings you faith in the process of life, with less focus on the outcome. Meditate. Stillness in your outer and inner worlds opens your receptivity and helps your inner divine self. Being completely still each day for even a few minutes creates a space for your inner guidance to break through the static that modern life puts in our minds and bodies. Regularly sitting in meditation is a good way to achieve and maintain this stillness. When you're through, ask, "Is there anything I need to know now?" It might bring you helpful guidance. An alternative to meditating is to engage in something that takes just a little bit of focus, but not too much, such as sweeping, raking, or other simple work. Many times when I have had a question, the answer has popped into my head as I was doing something unrelated to it. I asked Jesus if there is a difference between our inner Christ selves and the guidance that comes through our body's gut feelings.
The guidance that comes to you is always appropriate if it comes while you are in a state of calm. What causes the opening for detrimental or disharmonious energies to gain entry is the vibration one offers from a place of imbalance or disharmony. When we are out of balance, we attract this condition. What is required is a calm centering so you can attract the same. So go ahead and act on your gut feeling as it comes to you. Act on your communicated words when they are clear and calm and feel right to you.
I've been using inner self and Christ self interchangeably, and I just had the thought, what if they're different?
As in all things, everything is relative and vibrational. The inner aspect of the self can be the Christ self, or it can be a lesser version of the Christ self. One takes the level that one is able to access in the moment. There is no rule that says everything you access is the Christ self, or that the information will be helpful in the moment. Not only must you run a quality control assessment on the information conveyed through your words and emotions and thoughts, but also you must always decide through your own filters what the appropriate guidance is. Never fully accept the words at face value, and always examine them in the face of what you see and feel on earth.
Jesus is saying that discernment is an ongoing practice as one learns to navigate the internal relationships with one's many egoic selves, the Christ self, and the guides. Learn the language. The truth is that we are all one, and we cannot separate ourselves even if we try. Therefore, in creating a dialogue with our inner guidance, we need to be sure that we don't forget our wholeness. The language that the One speaks is not just words. Intuition is one way to describe its internal language. Making room for intuition and acting upon it can strengthen it. Phrases like, I have an inkling, an impulse, a gut feel, or I just know, describe an internal communication. And when you find yourself saying or thinking these phrases, follow the impulse and see what happens. In observing the results of your follow-through, you will learn to know and trust this inner guidance. Formal written communication is channeling, also known as automatic writing. That is another way to access your intuition that makes use of your physical body. The One is also communicating with us through our environments. Sometimes when I am rushing and driving too fast, birds will swoop across my windshield to slow me down. I've intended not to move through my days at a rush. Therefore, I give permission to the universe for this kind of support when I start to rush. Messages come in many ways. Feathers falling from the sky remind me of the magic and mystery I am immersed in. Swooping butterflies remind me to stop and appreciate the beauty of life. And a gust of wind incites me to movement or a change of direction. An acorn on the head is a serious call to wake up. And then there are songs on the radio with lyrics that say just what is going on right now. Or numbers on the clock like 11:11 and 12:12, which affirm that my energy is in alignment with the guides'. Books literally fall off the shelf or draw my attention when I need to read them. And friends are often messengers with wise perspectives. The sunlight shining through a forest of ice-covered twigs is so breathtaking that it makes me cry and opens my heart to life. A person who jostles me reminds me to be gentler. And when nothing goes right, I stop to recheck the decisions I have made. When a luscious, warm brownie that is halfway to my mouth falls on the floor, I know it won't make me feel good, and that I shouldn't eat it. There are infinite ways that we communicate with the One, and as we open to this awareness, the world talks to us like a good friend, guiding, encouraging, correcting, and walking along beside us. When this happens, life is magical. Discerning ego's resistance to the Spirit's guidance. Recently, I debated for weeks whether to go to a conference in Sedona, Arizona. I would feel excitement about it, and then immediately feel like it was too much and that I shouldn't go. This went on until I bought the airline ticket and signed up for the conference, feeling like I would never know why I was so confused unless I went. I felt a nervous contraction in my belly after I bought the tickets, and the night before the trip I felt so sick that I thought I needed to go to the emergency room. I really wanted to cancel the trip. And as I got in the car to go to the hospital, my guide said, "Just lie on the grass," which I did instead. I felt better after clicking into nature's healing vibration and commanding my cells to return to their divine perfection. When I remembered a phrase that Mary, the healer, had told me to say, "Oh yeah, this is just illusion," and I got up perfectly fine. The next morning when I was due to leave for the airport, I hoped my ride wouldn't show up, but he did. On the way to the airport, I started feeling panic, which built until I was on the security line and my former husband called me. He reassured me that he sensed it was fine. I was in a cold sweat with pressure in my lungs and throat. I did get on the plane thinking, if this plane crashes, I am the stupidest person on earth. I arrived in Phoenix safely, met my friend Michael, who had also flown in, rented a car, and drove to Sedona, carefully, waiting for something to happen, and I had no idea what. On the second night it happened. We were in a vegan restaurant that had a room filled with rocks and crystals. There were several huge Shiva lingams, one even standing 5 feet tall. I had the impulse to sit on it, or more correctly was directed to sit on, a Shiva lingam that was lying sideways on the floor against a tree. Shiva lingams are shaped like elongated eggs. They are made of cryptocrystalline quartz, mined from the bottom of the Narmada River in India. Twice I resisted my guidance's direction to sit on the rock, as I felt awkward about sitting on the display. Finally, at the third impulse, I grudgingly said internally, "Oh, okay," wondering why the guidance was so insistent. And when I did sit on the lingam, I felt a strong tingling in my neck and head. The counterclockwise motion, which Michael measured with his pendulum, was the energy quality of movement toward spirit, something we both learned while studying biogeometry. Unaware, I relaxed and leaned back against the tree. My mind separated from my body, or perhaps it became so still that it seemed to disappear. My mind would return occasionally, but it felt inconsequential, mosquito-like. When it did succeed in getting my attention and urged me to get up, it had been an hour, and something was different. I didn't wish to talk or move. When my mind convinced me that I had to get up, I just stood there. I couldn't walk. I finally moved when I again remembered Mary's phrase, "Oh yeah, this is all just illusion." And with that I walked out to the car, kind of sloshing around in my body. I was still internally, and I moved my body minimally, methodically, like I was in a heavy costume. I think the experience was an energetic version of diarrhea and vomiting, a good clean-out. It took me 24 hours to return to somewhat normal, but I was not the same. Afterward, I was less needy on the human level, more relaxed and steady. I can see now why my ego had put up such resistance to the trip. It feared on some level that it would lose its control of my mind, something that I had asked for and had been unable to achieve on my own. Having studied the relationship with my guidance, I was confused by the experience and unsure just what had happened on the lingam. Was it good or bad? I was reassured when my friend Les, who was living in the Middle East at the time, called to say he'd had a vision of me spinning counterclockwise really fast, and that he was told to tell me that things were taken out of me and nothing was put into me. That was a relief. I looked in The Book of Stones by Robert Simmons and Nisha Aishian and found this description, which sounds quite accurate. Shiva lingams are emblems of inner transformation, partaking of the storm element in order to break up patterns of self-limiting habits and beliefs, so one may be flooded with spirit. Like Shiva, they destroy what is old and corrupt to clear the way for rebirth. Those who wish for such transformation will find in them a fierce and ready ally. I had been asking for help in moving beyond my old, worn-out, reactive patterns, and this gave my guidance permission to lead me to just the right situation to achieve that clean-out. How to channel. First begin by seeing all as one, as Jesus teaches. From this place of unity with all that is, we are in the best place to open a dialogue with our guides. This is how Martha taught me. With a pen and paper in hand, ask out loud or silently, "Is there anything I need to know right now?" Write down what comes to you immediately, It will feel like it is you, and it is you, but it is also your guide speaking. If you do this regularly, you may find over time that more information flows to you after you ask this question. Suspend your disbelief and just write it down. Whatever comes quickly before you can think or evaluate it, write it down. You may be surprised to find that the information is useful and coherent, and comes with more fluidity and detail as you practice. Sometimes when the words come, they sound like things you already know. I find, however, that upon rereading, they are always able to offer a new perspective. When I first channeled, I got a single word, then a sentence, and later a paragraph, until finally one day a full page of writing ended with, "Ask me a question." What a delightful shock that was! It was like a stranger miraculously appeared out of nowhere. I, of course, said, "Well, who are you?" That was when Shadrach and I began our conversations. Knowing that I am never alone is an amazing way to live. Intend to speak only to your higher self, your guides, and the greater part of you that exists in non-physical form. Like attracts like is one of the vibrational laws of creation. And if you are calm and centered, you will attract the same kind of guidance. Communication will be positive or solution-based. The perspective of one who sees beyond the illusion of earth is the big picture perspective that comes from a place of unconditional love. These impulses can powerfully assist one's navigation through life. A friend was told in January that she would move in November, but it was the November a year later that she ended up moving. Time on the higher levels is not the same as time here on earth. Look to include the signs you receive along the way to accomplish your guidance. Act from stillness.
It is really a game of sit, be still, act as guided, then move from the place of stillness into action. Action would have you at its beck and call, and what you must see is that stillness must have you at its beck and call. Stillness is your true master, and from stillness must all action originate.
If it sounds right, do what is asked of you. Then observe the results. As you respond, you will become clear about their authenticity and whether you are hearing clearly. The merit of some actions can't be known right away, but if you stay aware of the process and continue to question your clarity and your connection, you will remain empowered and open to learning. But do act. If you don't take action, you are simply cluttering your mind with more information and devaluing the guidance. Practicing what they offer you gives you the full benefit of your communication and helps you to be confident in your guidance. Finally, don't forget to thank them. Imagine how frustrating it must be to watch us all on Earth. I asked about channeling's role.
Dear one, channeling is a gift when it is used appropriately. Appropriate use means that you will use it to uplift and harmonize your life. It is an offering from the heavens to get you pointed in the right direction with the right shoes on your feet for the road ahead. It is a road map or sign for the time ahead. It will not tell you all the future. It will help you to put your life in perspective from where you are now.
Sometimes guidance will direct me spontaneously, or I will ask for help. For example, there are times when they ask me to do something or to go somewhere and have no real understanding of why. Sometimes I am pleasantly surprised by what occurs when I follow the impulse that they create within me. I may run into someone I haven't seen for a long time, or it may be that I am needed in service. I remember a spring day in New York City. I was walking up Madison Avenue when the guide said, "Give that man some money." Now, the man was walking along pretty fast. He was well dressed, and he was not begging. And I thought, how am I going to do that without embarrassing him or myself? Well, it came to me to run up from behind him and say to him, "Excuse me, sir, but you dropped this," while handing him some money. So I got the money out and did just that. And to my great relief, he took it without blinking an eye, without any surprise, and continued walking. I feel like a secret agent when things like that happen. Another time, on a Saturday morning, the October after I first moved to my new home in the country, my son was with me, and we needed something to do that was fun for an 8-year-old. The guides had us get in the car and directed me, go left, go right, go straight, etc. And we ended up in a town 15 minutes away that I had never been to, and pulled up at a harvest fair. It had hay rides, a field filled with pumpkins, a magic show, hot dogs for sale, and swarms of other kids to play with. That day was a delight all around. It takes faith to be led in that way, but more often than not, it has meaningful results. It makes for a life that is definitely not dull. I notice a drop in my energy when I don't follow through, as if I have disappointed myself, and I'll never know what I missed. Intention. In this world, where all things have an opposite, good and bad can be interchangeable relative to one's perspective. For example, is it good or bad to drill a well to serve a village that had no well before? You might be tempted to say good, but what about when the well ultimately lowers the water table, killing vegetation, causing the desert to expand, and displacing families and villages? Then would you change your assessment? Good and bad can be relative depending on the lens through which you see the results of your actions. The intention to act for the highest good can assist you to find your way through Earth's duality and can actually create your desired outcome. The very same neutral act can have entirely different consequences depending upon your intention. Your role is to be clear in your intention. Be clear about what you desire. Visualize it. Feel the emotions that it would bring to you and others. Sometimes I say, if it be for the highest and best good, as a preamble, just to cover myself. That old adage that says, be careful what you ask for, you just might get it, is rather pertinent when wishing for something. My Emotional Transformation, Learn to Speak the Language of Creation CD, teaches creating not out of the desire for a particular outcome, but by using the emotion you would like to feel afterward. Discernment regarding non-physical beings. Do not assume that simply because guidance is non-physical that it is more evolved or knowledgeable than you are. In the non-physical realms, as on Earth, there are all types of energies and beings, some of which you would choose to hang out with, and some you would steer a wide path around. Channeling is a vibrational relationship, so be attentive to what kind of vibrational energy you are offering when you communicate in this way, and all the time. Choose to connect when you are feeling authentic and calm. When you are depressed, you attract energy that matches depression. Rely upon your intuition in all interactions. If it feels right, it probably is. Trust yourself. The vibrational law that like attracts like can limit or assist you in reaching the levels you wish to access both in communication and in manifestation. If you aren't sure, practice discernment while remaining open to the guidance that your spirit guides so eagerly want to offer you. Channeling exercise. Get a pen and paper and open yourself to receiving your guidance through writing what comes to mind after asking, "Is there anything I need to know right now?"